1. When developing a BACE preparation curriculum for adult learners, which instructional method best aligns with experiential learning theory? A. Memorization drills of laboratory safety terms. B. Hands-on laboratory simulations with guided reflection. C. Reading assignments without discussion. D. Watching pre-recorded lectures passively. 2. An instructor designing BACE practice assessments wants to ensure validity. Which principle should guide item creation? A. Test items should reflect real-world biotech laboratory tasks. B. Questions should only measure theoretical concepts. C. Assessments should prioritize rote memorization. D. All questions should be identical in format. 3. A mentor preparing candidates for BACE emphasizes problem solving. Which activity aligns best with adult learning principles? A. Creating multiple choice questions on cell biology vocabulary. B. Assigning a case study on troubleshooting PCR results. C. Asking learners to recite the DNA replication steps verbatim. D. Giving learners pre-completed lab reports to copy. 4. A key evaluation method in adult learning for BACE candidates is formative assessment. Which example best demonstrates this? A. End-of-course standardized final exam. B. Periodic quizzes with feedback to improve skills. C. National certification exam results only. D. Peer discussions without instructor evaluation. 5. In curriculum development for BACE training, which approach ensures alignment with workforce needs? A. Copying existing high school biology curricula. B. Consulting biotech industry partners for required competencies. C. Avoiding industry input to maintain academic neutrality. Focusing only on historical advances in biotechnology. 6. When teaching regulatory compliance concepts for BACE, which instructional technique is most effective? A. Memorization of OSHA acronyms only. B. Role-playing a lab inspection scenario with compliance checklists. C. Ignoring regulations to save time. D. Assigning textbook-only reading on compliance. 7. Adult learners in BACE courses often value immediate applicability. Which teaching strategy reflects this? A. Providing abstract theoretical concepts without context. B. Engaging learners in tasks simulating real biotech workflows. C. Assigning irrelevant projects with little connection to BACE. D. Minimizing laboratory practice in favor of lecture. 8. Which communication strategy is most effective for teaching sterile technique to adult learners preparing for BACE? A. Reading the steps aloud with no demonstration. B. Demonstrating sterile technique live while explaining each action. C. Providing only a written list of instructions. D. Encouraging learners to figure it out without guidance. 9. A BACE instructor is assessing pipetting accuracy. Which evaluation method ensures fairness and reliability? A. Random guessing during assessment. B. Standardized rubric measuring precision, accuracy, and consistency. C. Informal instructor observation without criteria. D. Peer evaluation without guidelines. 10. Mentoring a group of BACE candidates, an experienced biotechnician wants to encourage critical thinking. Which approach is best? A. Encouraging mentees to troubleshoot unexpected lab results. B. Providing direct answers to every procedural question. C. Telling mentees to memorize protocols without deviation. Asking mentees to replicate tasks exactly without interpretation. 11. In adult learning, motivation is increased by A. Demonstrating clear connections between BACE skills and biotech careers. B. Requiring unrelated history of science projects. C. Using only closed-book recall quizzes. D. Reducing learner autonomy. 12. A curriculum developer wants to include ethics in BACE training. Which strategy ensures engagement? A. Presenting case studies of ethical dilemmas in biotech labs. B. Assigning dictionary definitions of ethics. C. Ignoring ethical considerations to focus on technical skills. D. Reading aloud ethics codes with no discussion. 13. In communication training for BACE, what is the best method for teaching lab notebook documentation? A. Showing poor examples and asking learners to critique them. B. Requiring students to memorize formatting rules only. C. Ignoring documentation since it is not hands-on. D. Encouraging shorthand notes without standards. 14. An instructor designs BACE prep using competency-based education. Which feature best represents this model? A. Learners advance after demonstrating mastery of specific lab skills. B. All learners move forward regardless of performance. C. Emphasis on attendance over skill acquisition. D. Random grading not tied to learning outcomes. 15. During evaluation of BACE readiness, which feedback practice most supports adult learning? A. Immediate, constructive feedback linked to performance. B. Delayed feedback weeks after assessment. C. Minimal or no feedback provided. D. General praise with no specifics. 16. Which mentoring practice best supports reflective learning for BACE candidates? A. Guided journaling on lab experiences and lessons learned. Copying another student's notes. Memorizing definitions of lab terms. Avoiding reflection to save class time. 17. A BACE prep instructor emphasizes regulatory compliance training, which is most effective. A. Simulation of FDA good laboratory practice audits. Memorizing a list of FDA departments. C. Avoiding FDA guidelines in coursework. D. Assigning unrelated textbook chapters. 18. Curriculum alignment in BACE training is best achieved by A. Mapping learning outcomes directly to exam competencies. Designing arbitrary modules not tied to exam topics. C. Using only general biology standards. D. Avoiding alignment to encourage exploration. 19. When teaching adult learners about lab safety, which communication strategy ensures knowledge retention? A. Interactive scenario-based demonstrations of safety incidents. B. Reading safety rules verbatim without context. C. Assigning written safety rules only. D. Assuming prior knowledge without review. 20. A BACE instructor wants to evaluate teamwork skills. Which method is most effective? A. Group-based lab project with peer and instructor assessment. B. Individual quizzes only. C. Instructor observation with no rubric. D. Ignoring teamwork and focusing on individual tasks. 21. Which mentoring approach best supports struggling learners preparing for BACE? A. One-on-one coaching tailored to learner needs. B. Criticizing errors without guidance. C. Allowing learners to repeat mistakes without feedback. D. Withholding resources until learners pass independently. 22. To promote deeper understanding of DNA extraction for BACE candidates, which adult learning strategy is best? A. Guided inquiry with hands-on practice and group discussion. B. Memorization of DNA terms without application. C. Skipping practice in favor of reading assignments. D. Testing without prior explanation. 23. In evaluation methods, which ensures fairness in BACE preparation assessments. A. Clear rubrics with measurable performance indicators. B. Subjective grading without criteria. C. Informal instructor impressions. D. Ignoring performance-based tasks. 24. Which principle of adult learning is reflected in aligning BACE training with real-world biotech jobs? A. Relevance and applicability. B. Rote memorization. C. Passive learning. D. Ignoring learner goals. 25. A curriculum designer integrates project-based learning into BACE prep. What is the greatest benefit? A. Learners apply knowledge in realistic biotech contexts. Faster memorization of exam terms. C. Avoiding collaboration among learners. D. Reducing practice opportunities. 26. In mentoring, which strategy best empowers learners to self-direct BACE study? A. Helping mentees create personalized learning plans. B. Dictating exactly what and how they should study. C. Withholding resources until exam day. D. Assigning irrelevant tasks. 27. Which evaluation technique best measures sterile technique mastery? A. Performance-based lab assessment with a checklist rubric. B. Written exam only. C. Peer discussion without demonstration. D. Instructor assumptions. 28. A BACE trainer wants to incorporate peer teaching. What is the greatest advantage? Learners reinforce their understanding by teaching others. B. Reduces overall instructional quality. C. Eliminates need for curriculum. D. Avoids collaboration opportunities. 29. Communication of lab results in BACE prep is best taught by A. Practicing oral and written presentation of data to peers. B. Reading raw data without interpretation. C. Memorizing presentation terms without practice. D. Avoiding data sharing to save time. 30. Regulatory compliance in BACE emphasizes biosafety. Which training method is most effective? A. Laboratory simulations with biosafety incident role plays. B. Ignoring biosafety to focus on exam content. Memorizing biosafety acronyms only. D. Assigning unrelated homework. 31. In curriculum evaluation, which method ensures continuous improvement of BACE training? A. Collecting learner feedback and revising content accordingly. B. Never changing the curriculum. C. Avoiding assessment of curriculum effectiveness. D. Prioritizing tradition over effectiveness. 32. Adult learners often seek mentorship in career context. Which mentoring strategy is most impactful in BACE prep? A. Connecting lab skills to biotech industry career pathways. B. Discussing unrelated personal hobbies. C. Avoiding professional guidance. De-emphasizing only academic knowledge.